My name is Tony De Castro. I'm in charge of the Shumei Natural Agriculture Farm in the Philippines. And yeah, so we do projects that focus on biodiversity conservation and indigenous peoples.
My name is Elizabeth De Castro. I'm Tony's wife. And I'm now retired professor at the Faculty of Psychology at the University of the Philippines. I teach indigenous psychologies and other courses. But in Shumei, I'm now the corporate secretary of Shumei Philippines organization. And I work together with Tony in indigenous communities projects in the Philippines.
Fantastic. How did you guys meet Shumei?
I was operating an organic farm.
If you can start with, I met with Shumei.
I met with Shumei. We were doing an organic farm right next to Shumei farm. And then the Shumei farmer named Haru left the Philippines. And so Alan Sensei asked me to take over the Shumei farm. So that's how we got started.
In my case, it was earlier than that, although we did meet Shumei in the farm. But there's this farmer's market every Sunday in the big city in Manila. And there was a sign that said, free healing, free jure. And of course, I was curious, of course, because at that time I was really just stressed out. So any kind of healing was welcome. So I just walked in there and said, okay, what does jure mean? And then they explained it a bit, and then afterwards I got the jure. And then they asked me, oh, so how did you feel? Well, I said, really, it's really just something like relaxed, and it's almost like a peace of mind, which I need even just for a second or something. And so every time they would be there on Sundays, once in a while I would drop by and also look at the veggies, because we were selling also our own vegetables. And so we got to talking about organic farming and natural agriculture farming. But I would go there for jure, yeah. And then of course, we met them. These are two separate incidents. And then we met them in Zambales, where we had an organic farm, and that's it. And so we continued to cooperate with Shumei.
And for me, Shumei Natural Agriculture was a natural transition from organic farming. In fact, it was a step up from organic farming. Organic farming was a very technical approach. And what I liked about Shumei Natural Agriculture was a more spiritual approach. And that really appealed to me.
Not to control nature, but to work with nature and together with nature. And that's what brought about the project, really. We felt we could communicate more with the indigenous communities about Shumei than anybody else.
And when you have a sense that there are spirits in nature and spirits in plants, you have a different relationship with them. It's like having a relationship with a person rather than an object. So you have a higher regard for them. When you plant, you pray for them to grow like a child, to grow well. And then when they grow well and give you fruits and stuff, you give them gratitude, you thank them. So your relationship to them is very different. When Mesha Sama talks about creating heaven on earth, it's like when you do natural agriculture and see things grow, it's not like creating heaven on earth, it's like realizing heaven on earth is already here. And there are miracles that happen, like the alchemy of conversion of sunlight to energy, and then we eat it. That's us, that's energy from the sun that just comes from nature. And you realize, wow, the God is here, and it's a very spiritual thing. So you become very spiritual. It's realizing, Mesha Sama says create heaven on earth. Shumei Natural Agriculture to me is realizing heaven is already on earth. It's already here. And just realizing it by seeing what's happening.
Was really a very deep communion with nature in a very strong way. I didn't even call it spiritual, but actually I wrote, and I was so inspired by that, I call it epiphany, of communion with nature in a very deep way, not just lip service, not just touching the flowers, that I wrote an essay, How I Found God in My Garden, which is a beautiful essay of lessons learned by paying attention to life and death